then go and do those wicked things. And if your eye offends you, it draws you into sexual immorality, it draws you into idolatry, it's better for you to pluck your eye out than to die every whit whole and be cast into hell. Jesus Christ was the one that taught about hell. He explained why people are going to go there. He explained that they'll go there because they love sin, and they won't turn from it. And it's the most reasonable doctrine in the whole Bible. Hell awaits the wicked. And God's the one who determines what is wickedness and what is not. I'll read it again. The fearful. Are you fearful? Oh, I'm afraid of what will happen if she has this baby. All of the fearful are at the head of the list of those cast into the lake of fire. Unbelieving. Suppressing the truth and unrighteousness and refusing to turn and place your faith in God. Unbelieving. Abominable. I can't think of anything more abominable than slaughtering an unborn baby. Can you? What's more abominable than that? Murderers. Here it is. Murderers. God telling exactly who's going to be cast into the lake of fire. Murderers. God has a lake of fire which burns with fire and brimstone. It's the second death, and it's where all murderers are going. And that includes you, ladies. Whoremongers. People who are involved in sexual immorality. People that didn't enter into a covenant with God to be sexually pure, but rather they live in rebellion against God's law in the issues of sex. Whoremongers. Sorcerers. People that devise all kinds of wicked and vain imaginations and concoctions and catinations. Wicked people, including priestcraft, which is witchcraft on steroids. Priestcraft. That's called sorcery. Idolaters, people that bow down and worship hosts, people that bow down and worship Mary, people that face Mecca 5 times a day, people that worship idols, people that look in the mirror and they bow down to their own corrupt visage. And all liars will have their part in the lake of fire. This is the second death. Jesus said, avoid it at all cost. I saw a great white throne, and him who sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away. Friends, you think you're going to get up there and give God a bunch of lip and tell him how good you are? From whose face earth and heaven fled away. The holiness of God, the purity of God. No man can stand in his presence. Only shed blood can atone for your sin. Only Jesus Christ can bring you near to God because he earned perfect righteousness.
You stop and talk to me because I want to help you help her through this pregnancy and love that baby.
And so heaven and earth flees from the face of whom we have to do. No place was found for them. My friends, no place will be found for you when you stand before God. The reality of your rebellion, the reality of your sin against the holy God, the refusal to turn from your sin, there'll be no place for you to hide. Today you hide in the abortion clinic. Maybe you hide in a car. Maybe you're hiding in an office building off to the side. But you hide from the light. The light has shined. You can't take the light. You hide from the light, but there won't be any place to flee on that day. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their what? Their works. Depart from me, you're a worker of lawlessness. You are rewarded for your works. These open acts of defiance against God are the very things that are now the evidence that you're wicked at heart. This will be the evidence. This will be the proof that God will give you that hell is reasonable and your mouth is going to be shut. You won't have any excuse on that day. Let me read it again. I saw a great white throne and him who sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away. There was no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened, and I saw another book, the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead. Death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. Depart from me, you worker of lawlessness. The wages, you want to know what you get paid for the work of sin? The wages of sin is death. Not just physical death. We're all going to face that as descendants of Adam, having sinned against God as descendants of Adam. But that's the least of your problems. It's your corrupt nature and you being cast into hell because you're corrupt to the core. Turn from your sin and believe the gospel. Repent and believe the gospel. Turn to the Son of God. He shed his blood to save wicked people just like you and me. He shed his blood to save idolaters. He shed his blood to save sorcerers. But he doesn't save you unless you obey the gospel and turn from your sin. And you come to God with no hope of fixing the mess. You cast yourself entirely upon Christ. And he does what he promises he'll do. He rescues you from your wicked actions and your wicked heart. You wouldn't come to me that you might have life, Jesus said. Unless you believe that I am he. Jesus said, you're going to die in your sin. Broad is the path that leads to destruction, Jesus said, and many go down it. Straight is the way. Narrow is the gate that leads to life, Jesus said. Few find it. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. You can't get to God on the basis of your works. You can't get to God on the basis of your religious connections. You can't get to God on the basis of a scale of good and bad. God commands all men and women everywhere to repent, turn from this wicked path you're on, cry out to God to give you a repentant heart, beg him to apply to you the merits of the work of Christ for his people. Beg him to cleanse you in the blood and change your wicked heart. But the fearful and the unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall, it's not may, they could, no, they shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone. This is the second death. Don't comfort yourself because someone told you there's no hell awaiting. Don't comfort yourself that someone told you that your life is snuffed out under annihilationism. Those are delusions of the devil. God has made you an immortal being, and he absolutely commands you to turn. He commands you to flee the wrath to come. And if you refuse to hear the voice of God, you have chosen hell for yourself, and God will give you what you want. You didn't want to turn from your sin. You didn't want to be with a holy being. You didn't want God to reign over you. You said, like those people said to Jesus, we will not have this man reign over us. And so God, who owns all things, God through whom are all things, God for whom are all things, he'll give you justice. He'll execute fury upon the wicked. He didn't hesitate to pour out upon his Son the cup of wrath when he stepped in as a sin-bearing substitute for the sins of his people. A full measure of divine fury fell on Christ. What's going to happen to those whose sins are their own? If God didn't spare his own Son, who had no sin, but stepped in as a sin-bearing substitute for his people, what will happen to those who are not his people, who have not had their sins atoned for, who do not have a mediator, who do not have a redeemer? What will happen to them? Well, friends, it's going to be hell, where God will be glorified in administering eternal justice on the wicked. Hell. Avoid it at all costs. He who has ears to hear, let him hear.